Hey guys, this is ChaosFX back once again here to give you guys another video. Alright, now here is one that has gotten a lot of requests. So I'm going to do a video on my build. I didn't want to do this right away at the beginning. There are so many good builds out there. But really, I started out with what I would call like a pure hybrid PvE PvP build. And it's slowly become the best build that I could think of for my playstyle. So, not to say that I have the only playstyle. Of course, I never use this. There are so many good ones. Here, let me give you an example here so I got all my cooldowns. A lot of people do this one. Or, you know, into laser or something like that. It's basically where you snap cast a flamethrower, snap cast a fire pillar, and then get on their x-axis. Works better with leather because you have more movement speed. But it's great for catching people. You have to get to their axis with the fire pillar, etc., etc. I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, those are other builds. My build is a long-range destroying build. You basically, if you're on my x-axis and far away, I will destroy you with moves. That's the basic idea. And the other one is that close range, I have launching. And not just little launching, but ridiculous launching. Launching that sends people, you know, off the screen and steep slides and other fun things that just, you know, completely LOL them into the air whenever I get a chance. So, in that vein, I started by designing a PvE build and then adding launching to it, because that was the idea. My philosophy was to go ahead and bring as much damage to the table as I could. I have nothing in Landrunner. I actually lock it and don't use it. The reason being that my Landrunner at, I think, level 1 with my gear, I'm a strength stacker, so I don't have any magic attack. I suppose if I get a really high upgraded weapon, that might be more useful, but I think my grenades and my robots do like 100 damage in PvP right now, so they're not that good. Grenade is unlocked, but is available to me. You've actually seen me use it a few times. I don't use it that much because the bounce is a lot lower than my other bounces, but hey, you know, it's a weaker cannonball that takes longer to throw if you're female. If you're male, it's actually a lot better. Alright, so Ranger moves is where it's at. This is the reason that you get to play PvP at all, is we get to steal all our moves from the Ranger. I do not have Needle Sorbet. I just felt like this is an SP dump direction I did not want to go. It's not useful enough for me. Do have the cancel Rising Shot. We now get the Rose for free, so go Priest update. The Rising Shot cancel is pretty much, I think every PvE, every launcher, PvE or PvP, should have Rising Shot cancel. At 10 SP, it is the best move you could spend 10 SP on. I think it's better than Quick Rebound, quite honestly. And Quick Rebound is an absolute must, so I'm saying a lot there. Steep Slide, the scaling on it is ridiculously good, so of course you want to get that one as high as possible. And get a level of Spriggan. Multiple levels if you want. As you can see, if you look at it, Spriggan gets more powerful. It's 90% attack strength, goes all the way up to something like 600% attack strength. I just didn't have the SP to dump into it because I was too busy getting things like Steep Slide. So we have Steep Slide maxed. That is important. Let's do the ones on my bar before we go to Launcher, because that is just full of moves. I keep Cannonball at the minimum required level, which is 5. And a lot of the bad-mouthing I do is actually because I miss my old Cannonball. Cannonball used to be a poorly scaling move. Now it is an excellently scaling move. But to compensate, they reduce the damage it does by 600%. And overcoming that even with awesome scaling is very difficult. We used to do 6k, which, you know, back then was more like doing 12k, with a rank 5. A rank 12 only doubled your damage to about what would currently be in the, you know, 20k range. Which is really good because, you know, when you have that little health that we had before and you do a 10k damage, which is usually around what a Cannonball would do on a well-geared launcher, that'll actually, you know, do some really good damage. Back in the day, I used to get more kills with Cannonball than any other move. So don't take a lot of my Cannonball ranting as, oh, this is such a crappy move and I wish that, you know, it wasn't even a launcher move. No, not at all. This used to be the move that won me the game most matches in the old style. Now we got so many more options, we only need it for zoning, in my opinion. And like I've shown in my other videos, one of the best moves for it, I could always, you know, find my keys on the keyboard, that would help. You know, you can use it to knock people down and then have fun with them. Anyways, so Cannonball's at low rank. I got Rising, of course, is maxed with as many pluses on it as possible. Rising is our, you know, our key move in this game. We have Steep Slide now, which is awesome, but keep in mind that can be dispelled, it can be interrupted. Rising Shot is the only saving grace in the game that we will always have. So if you if you get dispelled, you need to know that Rising Shot is always available. You need to be able to use it when you need it, and kill people with it. Alright, so of course max that. Gatling. This is new to Rebirth, so not new if like any time recently, but in the past 2 months, Gatling has become the strongest launcher move in the game. If you're a PvE hybrid like me, you care about PvE. I want to top the PvE charts as far as DPS, as well as do great in PvP. So if something has so much power I can't ignore it, then I have to get it. And Gatling is one of those. You get the EX in Gatling. If you watched my PvE video, you saw me do 119 hits at 5,000 a hit. That is ridiculously good. And then in PvP, it's no exception. I do about 700 to 800 damage per shot. There are 20 bullets. Like I said in my zoning video, if you get somebody against the wall, they will get hit by most of them because it's harder to move up and down if you can't slide back between the bullets. The bullets only fire about 11, and then you have to spam the X key 9 times. So if I just fire the Gatling, you'll see it only does 11 hits. When you fire the Gatling and then press the X key, it will fire secondary hits in the middle. Well, let's see, I could probably get a wider angle over here. So let's see. If you watch where the extra bullets come in, they're right when you press the X key. So this is the normal spread. You can see it's actually pretty even. When you get the larger spread from spamming X, it just fires them alongside the other one. You can see that some of the end shots were closer together. And the reason for that is because those extra 9 bullets were being fired from me spamming the X key. Anyway, a lot of combos in there. If you get them in the air, keep firing them up. My laser combo, all that kind of stuff, really good. Barbecue. I have this at level 5 to get the cancel. A lot of people like to get this move also very high. I found completely by accident. I'm not going to claim all this amazing foresight. But you can see right there written on it, it says 10 shots. This is the biggest reason not to get Barbecue maxed unless you have just a whole bunch of SP to dump into whatever you want. 10 shots is half of a Gatling. So about the same strength as Gatling, maybe a little stronger, but certainly not twice as strong. So Gatling is twice as effective, and I think it's actually cheaper SP-wise, but they might be even. Even if they are even, Barbecue does not stand a chance as far as getting its damage up there. And yes, it would add to all your combos, but keep in mind that like a Barbecue, at least if you're following my guide, is what happens right before you use the Rising Shot. So let's say right here you've gained 500 damage. How much did you lose by not having time to charge up the extruder? That's the question you gotta ask yourself. Or when somebody's really heavy and you miss that Gatling because they're too heavy, they just fall straight down, was that worth the extra damage in the Barbecue? My answer, usually no. And you've seen my on the ground tactics, that is why I have 5, so that I can do this. Oop. Or, just fail miserably. That was weird, though. Anywho, you've seen my on-the-ground barbecues. They are good. They are fun. So anyway, Stare. Stare is my dump stat. This is probably going to horrify a lot of people, PvE and PvP alike. Stare is an excellent move. This is the one, whenever I get SP, I buy another rank of Stare, because you just want as much of this move as you can get. It is very good, but to me it does moderate damage, considering overall usefulness. It doesn't have a lot of burst, so in PvP, it's not a burst weapon. It's excellent for zoning, but more ranks doesn't reduce the cooldown. So, as much as I would like to get the rank up as fast as I can, it doesn't reduce the cooldown at all, so I still can only use it so often. PvE, it is a great move for dealing damage, but greater for its utility. I mean, it doesn't compare to a Gatling anymore. It doesn't compare to, a fire pillar or a laser, so it's best for just, grouping up enemies and letting them have it. In PvP, it's greatest for zoning. You throw down a Stare, and you can actually, if it's far enough away, you can get them in other moves, because the Stare bullet actually travels slow enough that you can connect at the same time. Like, watch this. If I hit him here, I can actually fire a laser, and it'll hit him at about the same time. So that's kind of cool. And see, that was a 5-hit combo. He was still in the hit stun. He couldn't have dodged that laser. So super fun. Laser is maxed in my build. That is just a given. That is the strongest PvE and PvP move that you could divide evenly. Like say, okay, is this move useful in PvP? Yes. Is this move useful in PvP? Yes. So if it's useful in both and does the most damage of a move that's useful in both, then of course you want to max it. And that's the point. So Laser is the one where I'm going to put my foot down and say every launcher needs to max Laser. And you need to get Charge. Because a charged laser, of course, you know, Eagle Eye, you're invisible, they can't really see you. Full charge, bam, 10,000 damage. With your strength stacking and plate armor or heavy armor, you should have no problem slaughtering people with laser. If your laser's not infamous in the room you're in, you're just not using it enough. Anyway, I do have backstep on the bar. It makes it a lot easier for me. I can't really do the command because I might be pressing down and jumping. I've done that quite a bit. I don't want to, you know, have to say he's right here. I don't want to have to worry about backstepping when I'm trying to jump and shoot him. Or just get away from him. So anyway, Marilyn Rose, I moved down there. I think I mentioned that because I changed some of my other command moves that I use less often to be my command skill. You want to be able to Rose going up, going down, left, right, left, left, right, right, left, right, Rose. You know, you don't want to worry about using your Awakening or anything silly like that when you're trying to get people into one of the best counter moves in the game. So, don't put it on its own skill. I did max Rose. You want to get it in your build. Rose is like Rising Shot. If you're going PvP at all, you want to max it. That's definitely a PvP move. So make sure you get that. Fire Pillar. This is one of the good things about raising the level cap, is I was finally able to get Fire Pillar up to max. Always max Fire Pillar. If you got to choose between Fire Pillar and Stare, like I had to, you choose Fire Pillar. Flame Pillar, I'm sorry. It used to have all kinds of different names, isn't that special? But anyway, the basically Flame Pillar is the best PvE move in the game. You know, Gatling arguably in certain circumstances can be better, but this gives you mobility, so you have defense. You know, you can attack spellcasters by weaving. That is so important. All kinds of good stuff like that. Then I got Max Ancient Trigger. Here's where the PvE slips into my PvP build. Now you guys have seen me mess with Ancient Trigger in PvP, but PvE is where it's at with this move. This move is incredibly strong. Did the math the other day with somebody on the forums, and unless you have like 1,000 piercing on your weapon, this move will outdamage all your other sub-weapon cycles for a pretty good amount of time. And even if you have 1,000 piercing, I think you only need something like 400 or 500 strength to counter that much piercing. So now you need 2,000 piercing, which is I think like a plus 17 weapon. So if you got a plus 17 cannon, no problem. If you don't, Ancient Trigger picks up the slack and just destroys people. One of the best reasons to get strength is to multiply our Ancient Trigger. I'm also messing around with an Ancient Trigger combo, so there's a treat for you guys. I'll see what I can show you about the Ancient Trigger combo. I may have stumbled across one by accident in PvP. So Bad Manner, you be the judge. It's awesome either way. So I maxed that for my PvE-ness. Quantum Bomb maxed. Now this I could totally see actually trading my max Quantum Bomb for max Stare. Quantum Bomb is going to get a buff when they do the fixed damage patch coming up soonish, I hope. The one that makes Ancient Trigger freaking awesome, because the little blue lasers will hit 6 times, break super armor, so they will hit people who are ranged super armor and super armor by pushing them up against the wall. Now this changes the entire game for Ancient Trigger, because with Ancient Trigger before, you wanted them to be at about max range, whereas now you don't want them to be max range because the 6 lasers will knock them right out of that range. At least that's my assumption. I haven't, you know, obviously tried it or anything like that yet. But, so it changes the game for Ancient Trigger, but what it also does, it takes all your fixed damage moves, Cannonball, Quantum Bomb, Extruder, Ancient Trigger, that were pretty pathetic, per se. I mean, yes, they're awesome, but if you were here pre-Rebirth, you know that all these fixed damage moves were, like, insanely powerful back then. And this kind of, it's just a flat damage bonus. I think, you know, it's like 36% extra damage to Quantum Bomb or something really ridiculous like that to show how much they broke it. I am often heard saying that it's one of the worst damage moves in the game. I stand by that. It's excellent for stunning people in PvE. You know, you got this kind of situation where you throw this, and then the bomb hits them, you can go ahead and get some great moves off on them. But other than that, it's good, but the amount of SP that I put into it, I think would have been better spent in Stare, especially for overall damage. No matter how much I use Quantum Bomb, it's not really going to pay for itself until that fixed damage patch. But I have nothing to respec with, and I don't really feel like getting dual builds because I don't like Quantum Bomb, and it's going to be good again in the future anyway, so might as well just keep it, that kind of thing. It's worth it. You get a little extra damage out of that. Probably I got about, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 damage from having that maxed versus not having it maxed. Alright, so that brings us to Extruder. The last one on my bar down here is, of course, maxed. Now this one, there's no excuses. Extruder's maxed. End of story. Great for PvE, great for PvP. Not the highest damage move in PvE, but one of the highest damage moves in PvP. The way that they balance it, when you get somebody up in an extruder, that might be their whole life. I've killed people with it pretty much outright. It's harder because they don't stay in the air as long. But let's say you have one of these matches where you're just like Hail Mary, just gonna Hail Mary it, that kind of thing. That is so much damage. That pretty much seals the deal on the whole game. So if you're playing against weaker players or people who are not as strong in PvP, then you need to be prepared. Be prepared to use the extruder. It is just a great move. No excuses for not maxing that one, guys. So that's not where you can change your build. Alright, I got some other stuff here. Obviously I have my cancel for barbecue. Really important. Got to max that overheat. Overheat is the godsend for female launchers. Don't even worry about the durability loss rate. It really hasn't affected my play at all. I guess I spend more money PvPing than I would have, but that plus 20 attack strength on all those weapons is ridiculously good. If you like Lancer, I don't care for Lancer, but if you like it, it even gives one of your cubes, Lancer, a plus 20% boost, which stack that with Fire. If you're going a lot of Fire-based moves, you have Max Flamethrower, Max Flame Pillar, Max, Lancer. This overheat just gives you a flat plus 20% to all of those on top of all the fire damage that you would keep getting. So that is just really good. Hand Cannon Mastery. This is also a must in PvP because you need to get the cannon out before it fires, and you need to fire it in order to live. So it's very important to get that shot off as fast as possible. This gives you plus 10% drawing speed, and plus 10% attack strength. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at right there. Attack strength is awesome. That is basically the base damage for all of our non-fixed damage, which is about 50 to 45% of most of a skill. Laser, I believe it's 45%. Gatling, it's 50%. Barbecue is also 50%. That kind of stuff. You can do the math by going into all the damage formulas and figuring out what half of your damage does, and it depends on your attack power and stuff. So this is just with mine. I would consider it average high-end build here. Sub-Weapon Crusher, I only have the 1 rank. Now you can get the damage up on this, but at I don't even care what the attack strength gets up to. Oh, excuse me. You're not gonna get more than you are from the sub-weapon itself. Sub-weapon juggles are silly. You're not going to get more damage than the entire move itself. The fire does more damage than the sub-weapon crusher for Fire Pillar ever will. But all you need is 1 rank to knock people back, because if you do hit them with it, hey, extra damage. So you did about 600 with about 1,000, 1,100 after that. Charge Laser, must get. My EXs, I got Gatling, I got 2 in Stare. That's my dump for EX as well, just for larger moves in PvE. Eagle Eye, this is a big one. I got max plus 1. Keep getting Eagle Eye up. That is the best move. It raises the damage on all your skills. It doesn't affect its duration or cooldown though, which would be really nice, but that'd be overpowered. So essentially, you get plus 28% attack from that, plus 20% from that. That means I have almost plus 50% damage bonus on my Gatling, just from that with Eagle Eye up. And that really helps us, with that 20% we catch back up to the male launchers in damage. We are actually weaker than male launchers prior to getting overheat. When you get overheat, you are actually stronger than a male launcher. Male launchers have stronger cubes, but female launchers now have stronger, basically sub-weapon cycles that can be used indefinitely. I have very low flamethrower. I talked about this before. If it was something I planned to invest in, I would have maxed it and gotten the EX. Because I like Gatling better, I decided not to get it. If you can get both Gatling and flamethrower, I've heard that's extremely effective. It just doesn't have a lot of synergy. I don't use a lot of off X-axis moves, you know, when I'm doing my artillery. That's really short range for me. You know, my normal range is here, and that is just too far away. I mean, that just barely hits him. So most of my moves happen, you know, at a sweet spot that's much further away. If he wasn't against the wall, he would not be in range right now of this. So with the recoil, with all that stuff, it just doesn't synergize very well with me. But I gotta say, it is an excellent move. What the biggest thing that scales when you get this is the immobility duration, which actually goes up to 3 times its starting stat. With its starting stat, you can permanently combo somebody. It's about 1.5 hits per hit stun. With full, obviously that means you have 4.5 hits, which means you can miss 3 times consecutively and still catch them in the flamethrower immobility, which makes for just an amazing move. With Eagle Eye on, you're not going to miss 3 times in a row, so you basically have this amazing net. Works great in team play, works great in combination with your other moves, and has great synergy with Lancer, which I also don't use. Lancer, I have 2 because of gear and all that stuff, but it's at the minimum 5 just to get Ancient Trigger, so that's all I have it at. I did not blow points in that or Flamethrower, and you can see I still only had barely enough left in my build to get stared at 21. Or I guess 20. But yeah, Arctic Booster and Lancer, the SW, I gotta say, if you don't have these 2 EXs, go reset. These things are amazing. This one is for enemies that don't float. You basically slaughter any enemy that doesn't float. This breaks super armor, one of the hardest things for us to do in the game when you're in the Tower of the Dead and you have that annoying striker that has super armor. This thing just wrecks her day. So that's it. I guess general skills. Let's see. Of course you want strength, hit, elemental attack is up to you. That's just me damage stacking. And that looks like about it. Of course, the most important one in the game, heavy armor mastery. Don't you forget it. Why is it level 70? Oh, basic training level 70, I was going to say. Like, man, I have level 70. That's a lot of ranks. Anywho. So that's my build. Like I said, I am going for a long-range artillery setup. As much damage as one person can possibly stack at about this range. You know, big old Ancient Trigger. Which, you know, doesn't do bad damage in PvP, but it is amazing in PvE. I just can't stress this enough. I have beaten hell modes with, you know, just like really ridiculous ones, like trying to solo those rogues. With just Ancient Trigger 3 or 4 times will kill all of them. So, you know, have some fun with it. Give it a try. And hope that helps everybody who's having any issues with their skill builds. Of course, skill build questions, I've been on the forums a while, are usually more specific. It's, you know, I have XYZ problem and I would like a solution to it. Can anybody help? So feel free to ask. I might have the solutions for you, but I hope that that gives you a little primer on what my build is and why I made some of the choices that I did and why I have some things available. Why my damage spikes at certain times during PvP videos that yours probably wouldn't stack or wouldn't spike at equal times. Like, let's say you don't have max Fire Pillar. Well, you wouldn't be doing, you know, 9 times 1,000. You wouldn't be doing 9,000 damage to your opponents if you didn't stack it as high as I did. So, hope that helps you guys who are deciding what to do with your extra points. I do feel like bringing our strongest strength, which is, you know, PvE, to the table via Steep Slide and Rising Shot and all them is the way to go with PvE launching, or PvP launching. That's kind of why I did that kind of thing. Like, that combo only exists because I thought, okay, well, I have this long-range laser, and, you know, or extruder or whatever. How can I get to use the full charge? And there it is. So, there you go. Hope that helps you guys. I'll talk to you later. I got one more video after this.